Hi, my name is Tina Kelley, and I'm honored to be able to read here at the Hoboken Public Library National Poetry Month reading series. I'm going to be reading poems about spring, and some of them are going to be from my new book called Rise Wildly, which in real life is printed forwards, not backwards. It came out in November from Cavan Carey Press, and for the duration of National Poetry Month, it is 20% off at the Cavan Carey Press website. And the first poem I'm going to read is from Rise Wildly. It's called Planting Nearest the Prayer. You, new garden, have all the charms of a 7-month-old baby. You sit up and smile, stay where I put you for a few short weeks. You haven't confounded me yet. I haven't fallen behind, failed, or felt regret. See verve, new ambition. See various hopes. What tricks will you do? Attract bees, give me edible blue flowers to freeze in ice cubes, produce blooms for each room and for hanging from attic rafters, herbs for a summer of dishes, seed heads for finches in the fall. I'm curious what will thrive and reseed and naturalize. Which will the squirrels eat, the drought singe, the trees overshade? With compost from 3 years of dinners, night crawlers from the bin, not yet severed soaker hose dug in to bathe roots, you may turn marvelous. I want to sit with you, parse the evening bird's song, feel the spring rinsing, the possibility of jewels ever unmined, miles deep under the ocean floor. My wine, you erase the thump in the gut, turn me capable, full, and desired. The next one I'm going to read is called Adding a New Heartbeat. It was inspired by my son, who's now 16, but was in utero at the time. And it's also from Rise Wildly. Adding a New Heartbeat. I have seen that color in the buds on the trees, that color that reminds me of blood but is not blood, spring but not spring. It travels north 15 miles a day. All I want to do is meet this creature inside me, know if it is a son, another daughter. But if I met it today, it would die. It must stay till the light lasts longer, till the trees bud out, till first fireflies and womb weather, when heat and humidity outside match in. So I watch goldfinches ripen, brighter than dandelions, brighter than new tennis balls, brighter each day from eating blackest thistle seed. Just 2 weeks ago, grayish brown, dull as females, now almost Easter. When they are brighter than first lightning bugs, perhaps, when honeysuckle blooms, honey and suckling. If we get deep enough away to hear the wood thrush, maybe then you will be ready for my gift, your birth. The next one is also about my son, Drew, and it's called Drew's Abject Love of Dinosaurs. Do mosquitoes pick their noses? If all the people died, would the dinosaurs come back? And are conehead and strongneck and longneck friends? He sounds so very certain that his triceratops, heavy, impossible to pack, with triple-spiked tail, tree-trunk legs, pure XY chromosomes, trumps my small hands Tyrannosaurus every time. I do want to share my boy's love of Jurassic hard plastic monsters. After watching one of his movies, I think of a dinosaur falling in love one warm spring day under the conifers of Pangaea. The leathery smell of crushed horsetails rising green from the ground. I feel in my small intestine that ounce of tenderness certainly there, then, cloaca to cloaca, a soft lurch at winter's end to reproduce. In his favorite museum gallery, I learned they moved in herds even, but they snarl and fight, eat raw meat, these cold-blooded hockey players, gory, foreign to me, while my blonde buddy with the baseball card smile runs all male, legs wide, elbows bent, fast, then looks 3 stories up to terrible lizard skull, announcing, "Mama, the T-Rex is smiling." This one is called Immaculate. It's about the Immaculate Conception, a reimagining of it. And it's not from Rise Wildly. I think it's from Abloom and Awry, another book I did from Cav and Carey Press. Immaculate. He took me to the new world. He wanted privacy. Perhaps he didn't want people fighting over the exact spot. It is near Akron, where cherry trees bloomed wild. He was a curious sight, at first just a silhouette, a driver in a luxury car commercial, and he spoke like an anchorman. I was surprised he had hands, but he did. He arrived like a 2-year-old running among a flock of feeding pigeons. There was this phenomenal rising of rye grass, of seeds, of the sound of spring peepers. The sun turned glamorous, like overhead lights on a transatlantic flight. I can give approximations. Defibrillation by sudden starlight, veins on petals of a trillium, rolling in hot laundry. It was mostly by talking, not flattery, not steaminess, talk of tenderness and honor, courage, love that grows from root to highest air. Holy orgasm sounds like sunrise. I remember how his head tilted a bit, and he smiled, and he was precise, the choir director cutting off a note and smiling again. I still see him. If I drive along next to railroad tracks on sunny days, the threading light traveling with me is my beloved. I actually think that was from the book called Precise. I think that was the title poem of that. This one, I love getting headlines from news stories on the internet, and this is one of those. It's called Spawned Out Chinooks Aid Future Generations from the Afterlife. And this was from National Fisherman News Service, January 19th, 1999. It could be harder. We could be in the water, seam ripping the river, seeking the tiny tincture of home that tastes of those exact fir needles steeped in the steep stream. We would be starving, dying, battered back by constant cascades. But if we were in the water, both of us would be light and alive, writhing and fluttering together, a team. No, I would be unnecessary, and you'd be where you should be, not in an olive drab rucksack. You're heavy, dead. The dry ice is a mixed blessing. This spring, we're hauling 8 tons of you back to Chinook Pass, to the bumping river, the American, the Natchez, dumping you back to rot. From the Hanford Reach to the Upper Yakima, 1,000 of you trucked in, hiked in, ghosts. Your absence here lately has caused many hungers. No spawned out salmon, no falling off flesh, no maggots, no insects, no protein to feed the fingerlings come spring. So we piggyback you home, past the dams, past the farms, past the pavement, up the Forest Service roads, past clear cuts that suffocate the long alley to your birthplace and death place. We lay you in the stream, hope briefly for the wiggling, adamant flap of departure, but watch the wide, still eye float away. The river will lull you down. When the water turns warmer, you will rot, and the young will rise to the wealth of your death. And maybe they will come back on their own, and maybe they won't. This one is called Joy's New Job, and it has an epigraph that reads, "With a debt to a dictionary of creation myths" by David Leeming and Margaret Leeming. And that is a wonderful book to read if you are interested in writing poetry about creation myths. Joy's New Job. She creates creation myths on a raft mid-Pacific on the globe's blankest square. It's a promotion for her, and she loves it, loves making all creators female for a damn change, condemning evil destroyers to live forever as glints in the eyes of barren wives. She loves how creatures say their home's name. She creates a world from a falling star turned tear, turned ocean. She makes a trickster slam it with lightning. She lets Ava conceive twins, fathered by hot drops from a rainbow. At first, the work was brutally difficult, and she approached it in the tentative way we pick up shards of glass. But the first great success, the world created from her single thought that could not be forgotten, left her feeling well laid, that soft subterranean tingling all over. Giving birth was blooming as part of a million-mile pasture. Confident now, she tried creation by sacrifice, secretion from a cosmic egg, from clay, chaos, by expectorating, by calling out her name. She vacationed with only the pooled water, only the calm sea, and it was good. She heard the spring world warming, the every 2-second drip of sap from silence. She tried creation by singing, then a universe from a laugh. Soon intelligences emerged. Soon after, questions began. Why is one first? Why do we suffer? She missed her royal loneliness. When is God's birthday? Oh, keep still. And the one she keeps trying to answer, Mama, what does glory mean? This one is called Celebrations from the First Year in the New Country. And I was just sort of playing around making up holidays. This is inspired by the Northwest, where I spent 6 happy years in Seattle. The first firefly was caught, gilded, and placed around the neck of the winner of the National Essay Contest on the importance of clarity. We celebrated a bonfire of evergreens for the summer's first sliver moon, and the most children nationwide were born 9 months later. There were carols to the one little creature who so dearly wanted to be that she foiled 2 forms of birth control. The katydids cocktail party, blah, 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 across 1,000 miles, gossiping toe to toe, overlapping, conjured up our midnight picnics of mead, peaches, and brown butter, with sun-risen bread. The land said, take, eat, with its bountiful berries. Come fall, we enjoyed good junk day, exploring the neighborhood, welcoming home discards. We granted wild amnesty, commemorated the return of stolen goods, honored the owners. The thieves cleaned up after our dogs all winter long. Late autumn was given over to the memory of mountain huckleberries, a mile from any path, never picked, their tiny fermentation, and the staggering bears who loved them. The shortest day was devoted to friendship with God, planning a menu fit for a creator. The day after the solstice, 10 teenaged fire jugglers started chin deep, wading with a new anthem, sunrising from the sea. Each spring we wrote a new creation myth, in which the female is always the mother and first. We sang to the birds who always fly, asking them to nest here in this well-storied land. We who were scattered to get here as scattered as the roots that grew this bonfire's driftwood, threw seeds like candy from a parade. At dusk, the wet air smelling of solace, the peepers loosened, and the baby year softened down to sleep. This one is from my first book called The Gospel of Galore, and I'd almost forgotten about it, but I really like it. It's called Strange That There Are No. Birds called the glassbird, islands named Always, mountains named Swift, roses called Rhinestone. I would buy a beloved's breath lily, a cookie named A Kiss Before Sleeping. I would visit that nursing home, Dismal Harmony, and stop at Swaddling Town rest stop. There is no word for the way little girls run when their hands are sticky, no type of snow known as dead diamond, no solace-dropping tree or defibrillation symphony. No infant son was ever christened life-affirming, though each one could be. There is no city named Nimble, no slenderest street, no Toyota lithe or lipstick called Go Away. There is a kind of crying I call Psalm 911, but no one else does. There is a sleep known locally as severe tire damage. Do avoid it. The world may not be big enough for a dance called Constance, a church named Refreshment, a wind known by refuge. There are no planets named Polka, and it is too bad, really, and no clouds called alizarin crimson. Darling, make me a crayon called Shiny Calico Cat, and find our recipe for birth of spring cake. For you, I would make the quilt called Every Soft Midnight, and fly to only ocean. I know there is a marasmus bone named for the failure to thrive due to lack of touch, but you know how to hold mine in an embrace called Always Welcome. This one is called Prophecies for the Present. The thickness of onion skins, the toughness of apple peel, the height of the honeycombs, the lushness of squirrel tail, the bands on caterpillars, red of goose breastbone, the tightness of corn husks, extent of the feathers down the leg of the partridge. Cold winter is coming. Cold winter is coming. Carrots grow deep, crows gather closely, sheep huddle, and the oxen, whatever they are, the oxen lick themselves against the grain. The future like a chrysalis, with gold flakes, clarity, translucence, and moisture, is added tenuously to the certain wood of the present, attached by threads, sturdy threads of causation. The molecules of weather and those of gentle beasts pulse together. All is well. Then again, a cow with its tail to the west makes the weather best. A cow with its tail to the east makes the weather least. And I say to you, a cow that swooshes its tail back and forth will make some good weather, some bad, just like life. I propose modern auguries. If a moth is seen flying up into a streetlight, a deer will be unable to move in the headlights. If the scribbles you draw to get your pen started go counterclockwise, the next check you write will bounce. When the word emotion appears in a poem, that poem will be bad. The arrival in an orchard of a woman who smells like a fashion magazine foretells a false spring, when 30% of the peach blossoms will be lost to Arctic winds. A falling star falling upwards predicts a big bang bigger than the one we understand. If you meet a man so colorblind he can never see the beauty of his green eyes, the next mountain you visit will be covered with impenetrable clouds. Above all, remember, as we know from the almanacs, A change in the weather is indicated if a rooster crows before 12 o'clock noon, as roosters inevitably do. This one is also from Gospel of Galore. It's called A Garden in Translation, and it has to do with how punctuation and flowers are very similar. Punctuating spring, the flowers come forth one by one to complete each thought in the mind of God. The dandelions, the comma, moving from yelling yellow to fluff to seeds all over. To mark the end of questions, let there be blooming cherry trees, inquiring if there could be a more beautiful mix than this bark and branch and confection with a background of sky. No, adamantly not, says the exclamation point, the daffodil, trumpeting confidence, amazement, bliss. The ellipsis is flirty, would say more, but shouldn't really, not yet. Miss circumspection of a tulip bud, not until it's time to blow apart into vivid, blatant revelation. And the asterisk is for daisies. See below for rich mud smelling of drizzling nights. See below for loves us or not. The orchids, the semicolon, scholarly, arcane, while the colon's nasturtium, its ta-da linking, vining, and opening to summer, to salad, to the tiniest howl of the edible flower. And the period, well, there's a staple for you. Most every sentence has one. They are everywhere. They are clover heads, solid, full of purpose, food for bees and horses, for thought upon rising thought. This one is inspired by a gardening catalog. Its epigraph is Borrowing Freely from the Park Seed and Flower Vegetable Catalog, 1994. And it's called Ways in Which You Are a Giant Good King Humbert Blue Dahlia. Midwinter, and I'm browsing through the catalog you gave me to pick a garden from, and there you are, sturdy with a somewhat upright habit, vigorous and bushy to about 6 feet high, always staying neat and restrained, durable, adaptable, dependable, perennial, best for bedding, spectacular spring through fall, though not bad in the winter, your native weather. But there's no such thing as a blue dahlia, so perhaps you're a picote, lace, apricot, tuberous begonia, a lifetime investment in beauty, or maybe a whopper improved, or a big beef or a better boy tomato, more meaty, with the same juicy sweetness we've always loved. Hardy against the wilts, nematodes, and tobacco mosaic virus. Fantastically prolific, though not a burpless hybrid. Or a rose, the culmination of over 40 years of breeding by one of England's outstanding rosarians, named Novalis, damask, snowcloth, moonwing, your luminescent crimson topped with gold, fresh and elegant with unmatched brilliance, free blooming, long lived, such luscious promises. Cool, refreshing color for that shaded bed is mine with this outstanding variety, hardy and cushion forming. And here I am with the tentative smile of the kid in braids from a state without a major city who won the largest sunflower contest, squinting because the brightness hurts my eyes. This is called the Quiet Alert Period. It goes out to my daughter, Katie. It was inspired by this moment she and I shared when she was 2 weeks old. And it has an epigraph from Pregnancy, Childbirth, and the Newborn, the Complete Guide by Penny Simkin. And the quote is, "Your baby lies still and looks at you calmly with bright, wide eyes. She breathes with regularity and focuses attentively on what she sees and hears. Take time to enjoy these moments of eye contact, alertness, and calm." In Prospect Park, the only plant flowering now is witch hazel. In the maternity ward they gave us pads soaked in it to soothe our bottoms, such a civilized nursery school name for the most sexual parts, the first word we learn in the language of mommy. The ground lies dormant, the grass the color of a stuffed lion's fur. It's all incipience, like my tiny Kate, all potential, all blooming, waiting beneath the surface. Sparse hair throws shadows on her skin, like trees in their first leaf, seen from air. She curves in on herself, a tight fern frond, then flings cotyledon arms when she startles and stretches. Then, quiet, with her eyes open, she lets the room pour into her, rain falling in, light raining down, eyes blue moons wider than full. Each day a new seedling appears, hairs on her brow line, syllables upon waking. The cord falls off, the smell of mud rises. Soon, spring dawn, first smile. Thank you. Again, my name is Tina Kelley. My latest book is called Rise Wildly. It's out from Cavan Carey Press, and I hope you have a lovely National Poetry Month. Thanks so much for having me.